I'm doing Bible study in the morning, and then I get in a car to go to work, and then what am I listening to is bad. Like, started off, music is used to glorify God, right? And they moved those same chord progressions and put kind of secular lyrics on it, and it became Motown. It all started, I got kind of sick, which thank God everything worked out, but I wound up changing the way I eat, right? So I'm full vegan, you know what I mean? Not trying to say anybody should be full vegan, but I feel 100% better. I gave up meat and dairy. I also went down this real rabbit hole of like the food industry. I was like looking at all these food documentaries and stuff like that and just being like, they're doing this on purpose. Like all the stuff they put in the food, the way we treat the animals, the chemicals. I went deep. I went pretty deep with it. As an end result, I'm very, very intentional about what I put in my body. You know, I'm reading labels, I'm looking at nutrition facts, ingredients, I'm looking stuff up, right? And so I had a bunch of procedures done, you know, everything came back clear. But one morning I was doing Bible study, right, with my wife. And we were reading a pretty popular story in the Bible of Samson and Delilah. And it was weird, like Samson knew like what he was there for. He knew that he was anointed by God. He knew all of it. He's like, yeah, I can't cut my hair. Like he knew it, but he just had to like mess with these Philistine women. You know what I mean? And he knew he wasn't supposed to, but he was kind of just like, he was telling everybody and his parents, like, I got it. I know I'm here for, I get what God wants me to do and everything, but like, trust me, like, these Philistine women, it's not gonna affect me. I can still kind of indulge and I'll be fine, right? And so we were just talking about that, and it's a weird story to try to relate something to, but I started thinking like, metaphorically, if there's a Delilah in my life, it was my music. You know what I mean? I'm listening to horrible, like the hip hop music that I've grown up on and listened to, trap music. I'm from Miami. I'm all of it, and it just hit me very, very, very hard. You know what I mean? We were talking about it, and I'm just like, I'm trying to convince myself that although I'm putting these things into my body, that it's not gonna have any effect on me. You know, I got it, you know. And God just put on my heart that that's not true. That's not true. And that's why I started doing the nutrition facts, is it was like, have you checked the nutrition facts on your music lately? And so, what are the ingredients of your music? What's it made out of? Listen to the lyrics. I'll give you a quick exercise, right? Go get a Bible, open it up to the 10 Commandments, right? Put the 10 Commandments right here, and then pick your favorite song out of your playlist and put the lyrics right here. And then you tell me, is it healthy for you? What's going in? What are you putting into your body? Just because you're not putting it into your mouth doesn't mean you're not putting it into your body. And just like the foods you eat can be dangerous and have long-term effects on you, the music can too. So it really just, in that moment, I was just hurt because I felt like, wow, you know what I mean? I've really been kind of poisoning myself for years, for a really long time. And then after that, it all became kind of like a wave of information just coming to me about how music is not being used for its intended purpose. Started off, music is used to glorify God, right? That's why we have music, you know? And I feel like we know we have an enemy, you know what I mean? And that enemy has hijacked music. And so I started thinking about how you would have like gospel chord progressions, you know, that were playing in the church, and then they moved those same chord progressions and put kind of secular lyrics on it, and it became Motown. And that graduated into what we had R&B music, and that graduated into, how are we talking about women in these slow jams now? How are we talking about, you know, everything? And the gurus that used to tell stories to the beat of the drum, how it can evolve to hip hop, to rap, to gangster rap, to drill, and it's gotten hijacked. It's been perverted like into something that's really, really bad for us. So I got to nutrition facts because thank God I got sick and started just thinking about everything in terms of what I'm putting into my body food-wise, right? And it really put a lot of things in perspective for me on the musical front, because there's no argument. You can't listen to some of the music that's out there now and make an argument that it's good for you. That's like sitting in Burger King and having or any fast food restaurant and eating like a quadruple cheeseburger and a 2-liter of soda and a tub of bacon grease and trying to tell somebody, this is actually like healthy for me. You know what I mean? You know it's not, but we just mindlessly listen to it. And just like eating that fast food, we'd be silly to think that this isn't gonna have long-term effects on our health, right? So yeah, I really started, the most liberating thing that I did was I went through my playlist and I removed anything that was harmful to me. And I'll tell you what, it was most of my playlist. You know what I mean? Like I'm right here, I'm doing Bible study in the morning and then I get in the car to go to work and then what am I listening to is bad. Like how much of the stuff that I'm listening to have I actually done too in real life? Yeah. So anywho, through that process, man, I started discovering all these new artists I never heard of though. And I knew in that moment that healthy music, flooding the market and giving people a way to take up as much space as possible with life-giving, healthy music is my purpose. It's my purpose in life. There's an enemy of our music and he's hijacked our music. And I'm like, if you make that type of music and it's working for you, I'm not hating on you. But I'm trying to flood the market with good music because only the light can cast out the darkness. I'm trying to flood the music industry with so much light because I just did it. I just indulged my system with healthy, life-giving food, and I feel different. You know, if you take the vegan challenge, right, and go 30 days without eating meat or dairy or anything like that, you're gonna see certain medical results, right? Your blood pressure's gonna go down, your blood sugar is gonna go down, your cholesterol's gonna go down, you'll have more energy, you'll sleep better, all these things, these are facts, right? If you take 30 days and go vegan with your music, your tendencies will be different, your urges will be different, your responses will be different. The way you look at women will be different. The way you see violence for what it is and drug use for what it is will be different. It won't be as normal to you. It's the same thing as just if you eat French fries every day, that's normal. You drink soda every day, that's normal to you, right? Stop doing it, and then you'll be like, wow. You ever stop drinking like soda for a while, and then you have one, you'd be like, ooh, it's a sugar. Yeah. So that's the mission, man. That's really what I'm trying to get people to understand is that you're hurting yourself. First of all, I'm establishing our brand, right? Our first drops are, I mean, the drops that we're putting out in Collabratz are gonna be powerful music. And it's music that you can vibe to. It's not like, I think that's the biggest misconception and one of the things that I am tasked with showing people is that you don't have to produce poison in order to make money. You know what I mean? You don't have to talk about drugs, sex, violence in order to make money. That's what the thing is. That's the cool, popular thing of the music industry is making money like this. And just like those food documentaries, that's very intentional. Man. You know what I mean? And so Collabratz serves as a platform to show you, listen, these people are out here getting it. And while they're getting it, they're putting out life-giving messages. They're not promoting violence. They're not gonna be those people that are gonna talk about putting a gun to somebody's head and drill this and spinning these blocks and doing all these things. You don't have to do that, man. And if you think about, as a parent, I think about, what am I feeding my children, right? You know what I mean? And so there's people out here now that they think there's no other way. They think that there's no other food to feed their children or the children in their communities. And so Collabratz is gonna be that light. It's gonna be that beacon. There is another way. You can be super successful and independent, you know, and put out life-giving messages, you know. And there's, just think about this, man. If there was the powers that be, and I want to look particularly at the Black community, right? Because we're struggling with this. We've been struggling with it for years, right? If there was an enemy of the Black community, right? Why not use music to separate and destroy the community? It's like rat poison. Am I gonna just take a whole bunch of traps and set them in your community? That's been done. You know what I mean? We've seen that. Or how about here? Take this poison, and you take it back and feed it to your own community. And bada boom, bada bing. Now, you can't go I challenge you. Look at the news every single day. Every single time you turn on the news, you know, you're gonna see people dying in the Black community, right? It's not directly because of the music, but just imagine if you were an alien from another planet. You're like, wow, all these Black people are dying, and it's like, what's really going on? And then listen to the music. And you'd be like, oh, okay, no wonder. This is all y'all talk about. Most of your content is about hurting each other, disrespecting your women. And so why are we shocked when it happens? We always ask ourselves, when is this gonna change? It's gonna change when we change our diet, when we are more intentional about what we put in our mouth, what we put through our eyes, and what we put in our ears. Because ultimately, you're still choosing to put those things into your body. I say this, man, I think you're absolutely right, you know, and you have to ask yourself, what's more frightening, separation or unity? You know, there's a bigger narrative at play here, you know, and I think that the labels are doing what they feel is gonna make them money, you know. It's been, you gotta understand, we've had an explosion of hip hop. When I was young, you couldn't really find hip hop unless you searched really hard for it, right? And then all of a sudden, like, right, so around when I was getting ready to leave high school, all of a sudden you couldn't escape hip hop. I remember one year, 1998, right? It was like Jay-Z dropped the album, Lauryn Hill's album, DMX dropped 2 albums, Equipment dropped, like, my little high school brain couldn't, you know, take in all this hip hop just like that, because before I gotta turn on the box and Tigger in the basement to try to find it. And then by the time I left high school, I couldn't watch a game, I couldn't watch a commercial, hip hop was literally everywhere. And the messages that were being put out were because we fought to have a voice to talk about overcoming bad experiences. Unfortunately with that, we also glorified violence and drug use on a scale that had never been done so publicly before. And people will drift towards those things. The things that you know that are not, that those temptations, you're gonna drift towards them, you know what I mean? And we didn't have enough light to cast that out, right? So people are not really like this in real life, you know, like you said with the Future interview, you know, but keeping us separated is it's a very powerful tool. It's happened since slavery, you know. When we come to this country as slaves, and the first thing they do is you gotta separate the families. First thing you need to do is get the father out of the picture. The strong male influence, he got to go. You know what I mean? Because now your family is more easily controlled because they've lost their authority. They've lost the head of the household. So now I'm gonna replace that, right? So now they're gonna be more malleable to do things, right? And that's very intentional. That achieved an intended purpose. You know what I mean? Modern slavery and that happened in America, Western slavery as they call it, was the most profitable business that we've had. Like it achieved all the purpose. It built everything, and they did it very intentionally split us up, right? But you got to think though, like before slavery, right? What were we actually doing? Did we not have some of the most advanced civilizations in the world? Did we not give the Greeks and give so many other cultures pretty much all of their technology, their architecture, their infrastructure, modern plumbing, hearts? You know what I mean? It is scary when you stick together, right? It's scary, because that's the second part of this, man, is that when you can erase pieces of history or make the history so distant that there's no connection to it, you know what I mean? Then people don't really know which way to turn. And so we're gradually erasing the history and the intended use and the togetherness of music as well. It's the same type of principle where we've drifted so far that we forgot that it's supposed to glorify God. And Satan was, before he was Satan, he was Lucifer in heaven. You know what his job was? He was a worship leader. So it's totally natural for him to weaponize music. You know what I mean? It's not like you gotta learn new skills to do this. It's something that he's doing, and it's just, I'll never stop fighting it. I just can't, and people join the movement. People want more positive things. I really want people to be healthy in a way that they're wholly healthy, you know what I mean? Because we haven't had many good examples of what it looks like to have the right things going into your body that are going to produce for you longevity in life, the right things going into your ears, into your eyes, the right things going on your body. We're focused on a lot of the wrong things, man, with the way that we eat, with the way that we treat ourselves, especially with the way that we treat our minds. And life is a battle of the mind, man. If the enemy can control your mind, then he can control you. And I just think we'd be silly to think, that's why I use the food metaphor a lot. We just wouldn't be wise to think that we can consume the things that we consume every day and think it's just music. It's just, no. This is messaging that gets imported directly into your body. And music goes straight to the soul. There's no detours, there's no nothing. I can put some piano chords on right now and talk over those piano chords, and the message will go straight to your heart. You can do that without the words. You can do that, you know what I mean? So it has a greater effect on people than they realize. And if you listen to drill every single day, you know what I mean? You're feeding your mind that poison. And if you make that music, what are you feeding your fans, man? Some of your fans are children. The people that's doing all this killing out here are getting younger and younger every day, and you're feeding them. You're talking about your little cousin, he's 12, man. And I'll say, well, you still recording? Listen, I gotta say one more thing because this is important. The battle for the children is happening on a lot of fronts right now. Because just like the separation, right? If you can cut off in infancy, right? The enemy will try to cut off in infancy of what he doesn't want to see in maturity. So you go for the kids, right? And I'm gonna give you an example of how that's happened in music. Anybody remember parental advisory? You don't barely hear that word anymore. When I was young, I wanted to listen to some of the hip hop that was out, and I had to go to a record store and try to buy it. And if you weren't 18, you're not getting it, right? It just kind of quietly went away. Any type of restriction for any age group to consume any of this stuff. At one point, we had made a decision that this is definitely not healthy for kids. And there was no big announcement. There was no, movement I didn't see it in the news. It was just like, we just doing away with parental advisory, right? And so our children can literally consume anything. They can listen to any. The most that they might have to do is click a box that says they're 18. So how far have we fallen from trying to protect them? And that's intentional. That's not by mistake. And so what do you have? Yeah, we got 12-year-old kids out here strapped. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we have, they get younger and younger, and our young people are being snuffed out. The young people are being snuffed out. Like, if I was the enemy and it was my plan, by this point, I'm sitting out. I'm just sitting back and saying, they're doing it without me. It's a self-operating machine. I don't even have to do anything anymore. They're gonna make the music. They're gonna put the images out there. They're gonna put the videos out there. They're gonna feed it to the children. The children are gonna eat it. They're gonna get sick. They're gonna poison more children. And more of them are gonna die. At best, if they live, they're gonna live mentally and spiritually unhealthy lives, which is the plan. You know what I mean? Don't even have to. It's, what do you call, a fully automated plan at this point. It's crazy.
Now they got AI to sound just like the artist too.
Yeah.
At this point, we don't even need the artist anymore.
Nope.
We can use the robots now.
That's right. So where do you think these messages are coming from? You know what I mean? Even if the artist passes away, as long as we have a recording of their voice, they can still serve this purpose and they can make the music. There's nothing that can be done. The only thing that can be done is for healthy music to take up so much space and for people to see the benefits, not just internally, but externally, that it just flushes it out. It just flushes it out. As soon as you need a detox, what do? You flush out all the bad stuff out of your system. You know what I mean? And that's it. And that's what we had to do. I'm just trying to check this metaphor. I told my daughter this metaphor talking about something else, right? I put a cup of water in the sink and I put a drop of dish soap in there. I turned the water on. So the water's going. And I said, this cup is full of bubbles now. It's not pure water anymore. It's been contaminated, right? Like so many of our minds, bodies, and everything else. And then I turned the sink on, and we just sat there and watched it. Slowly but surely, the water starts coming out. And I told my daughter, I said, eventually, if we keep flushing this out, this will be clear water that you can drink. So we sat there and waited. You know what I mean? And sure enough, the water became clear. I picked up the glass. I took a refreshing sip, and it was good for me. My goal with Collabratz is to turn on 1,000 waterfalls of fresh water and just keep it coming and never stop. Everything will be there still. You'll still have the option for soapy water if that's what you are choosing to put in your body. But you're gonna have so many more options of clean, fresh, nutritious music that you can also choose to put in your body. And eventually people will choose the right thing. You know what I mean? There's no way. Light drives out darkness, it just does.
done something similar, branded itself away from what the labels are doing. But I love this collaborative record with him and Lil Durk, and they got all the little kid choir,
Mm-hmm.
and all my life. Like when I tell you that this song has literally become so big, it just tells you how hungry people are for the positive music. It
Mm-hmm.
was so refreshing to hear this song all summer. All summer I've been hearing this song, and every time I hear it on the radio, I'm like, damn, I love this song. Like this song is so good,
Yeah.
and it's because before that song, I literally started getting to. I got to the point where I was like, damn, is anybody gonna put out a positive song? Like, damn, positive music
Mm-hmm.
just isn't cool no more.
Right.
Like it was like, you know what I mean? Every time you turn on the radio, it's something real heavy, negative. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So hearing that song flood the streets the way it has, man, and so many people are like, I needed this song. I love this song. This song has helped me. Like, I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, to the point where Cole's like, don't even, you know, post about a rapper if you didn't, post him while he was alive. It's to the point where it's like to be a rapper is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? To be a music artist in a certain space is dangerous. You know what I'm saying? When my cousin was like, "Yo, you think I should be a rapper?" I was like, "Yeah, I just don't think you should talk about trap, bro. I don't think you should do trap music, like, because that's gonna put you in a lane that you potentially gonna be in a corner you don't, you're not gonna want to be in. You know what I'm saying? So obviously he's doing his own thing, but my point is just like you're right as far as the positive music and people flushing it out. Like I'm telling you, this summer that song has literally flushed out a lot of negativity. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think having the kids on the record was even a smarter idea. You know what I'm saying? In that song, he said, "I had to put the drugs down and rely on myself." Like Lil Durk said that, and I was
Mm.
like, "Yo, this is crazy." Like Durk said that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But I mean, you would naturally lean towards the things that make you feel better, right? So you would just, first of all, let's just look at where all this violent talk gets people, right? Because we're numb to it. We're numb. We've normalized violence in the same way we've normalized, like, when you talk about um, all of the police, like, shootings that have happened, right? For the past few years, you can go back a few decades, it's been bananas. Most people I talk to can tell me 5 names of the people that actually got killed, though, right? We're numb. Most of the people, if you try really hard, you could probably name right now 5 rappers that have all been murdered. And they keep getting murdered, you know what I mean? And all of them are talking about violence in their songs, you know what I mean? It's just like, you're bringing this energy into your life and you're projecting it on other people. And the worst part is we just get numb to it, man. We just is like, oh man, this guy got murdered too. I remember one time in Texas, it was just like 3 rappers got killed in Texas in a matter of like 30 days. I couldn't tell you any of their names right now. I'm numb. I'm just like, oh man, but violence isn't normal. Gun violence is not it. It's not something that your soul should just be numb to. You know what I mean? Because it translates to the community. So now people get shot in the community. People are getting killed left and right every single day. There's mass shootings here. There's violent killings here. There's gang killing. There's drug wars. You know what I mean? And you really should be looking to help, encourage, inspire, and comfort. And these are the things that people naturally lean towards. If you got one person sitting right here that, you know for a fact that they are a murderer, that they are hitting licks, that they roll with other murderers and robbers, and they just do not have a problem destroying you and your whole block. And then you have another person, right? And you know that they are super encouraging, they're nice, they'll tell you things that will actually help you in life. They're not going to convince you to do things that will destroy yourself, and they will come alongside you in your struggle. It's not rocket science, man. Nobody's choosing this person to hang out with. You know what I mean? Not nobody. As much as they like their music, I'm not trying to chill with you, man. Like you representing all the things that my soul, before anybody taught me right and wrong, I already know I'm not. That's this side over here is not it, right? But with our music, what are we doing? We're just we're going in the wrong direction. People just need to wake up, man. Like after you listen to this music, how do you really feel? Just take a little self-inventory. How do you actually feel? You know what I mean?
Strapped up. That's how you feel, right?
How do you, yeah,
I need to go get strapped up.
yeah.
Or I
And
need to go get another. You know what I mean? I need to get some more ammo. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just more. You know.
but when you listen to, when you're feeding your mind and your soul and your spirit that on a consistent basis, and then you see somebody in your neighborhood that was killed, you're not going to respond the same way. You're just not. You numb yourself out to it. You know? It's at the point now where we're not even hearing about killings. Like most of them is on video. You're seeing it, and you're still just like, I don't even remember dude's name now. I've lost my connection to my fellow brother like that. You know what I mean? And I said, there's so many different implications of music being one thing, but of all the things that a person chooses to import into their body. You know what I mean? And it affects the way you live. It affects the way you see things. Yeah.
Each other, man. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, like, just walking down the street, I could look at my brethren like the enemy, and I hate that. I literally can't stand it. It's like, damn, if I see another black man, my first thought is, I don't know what the fuck about to happen. And I can't stand it, but that is the thought process. Like, you know what I'm saying? Instead of it being like, oh man, yo, this, you know what I mean? That's not my first thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Unless I know you, that's not my first thought. And that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because that's where you're identifying them with, right? It's how you now identify your brother, right? It's not somebody that's going to help me out. It's nobody's throwing up a fist and saying power to the people. Yes. Nobody's coming alongside you telling you it takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm walking down the street by myself and I see a young black person vibing out with headphones in their ear, I'm 9 times out of 10, whether it's true or not, I'm thinking they're probably listening to a song that would inspire them to kill me if I look at them the wrong way. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're listening to, but I've now associated them with music that is in the business of death, destruction, drug use, and the whole nine. And they're just, if you look at it like poison food, and then you see people just, you know, they vibing out every time they dancing. Every now and then you watch them close, they'll bust this little move out right here. You're just like, okay, murder, that's what you're talking about, right? It's murder. Nobody can make the argument that murder is good and healthy for you. You know what I mean? But we just mindlessly like dance to it like it's really, this is my jam, this is my vibe right here. I got this album listening to the whole thing, and pretty much every song includes murder. You know what I mean? It's just not, and it's just, it baffles my mind, but then I'm brought into the reality that we have an enemy who hates us, and an enemy who use us to destroy ourselves. And the biggest trick is to get you not to even notice it. You don't even notice it. You think it's normal. You know what I mean? You just think, oh, okay. You think it's normal now. Remember when calling a woman a bitch was a bad thing, right? It was bad. You couldn't say that, right? And then you have now everybody is some kind of bitch. I'm from Miami, so Trina came out, I'm the baddest bitch. I done seen it, the baddest bitch, the business bitch, the realest bitch, the truest, you know what I mean? And so we just normalize calling women bitches now, right? Is there any argument that that's healthy for them or us? And do we think that that's not going to affect the way that we ultimately treat them for real? Our identity is, we are a royal priesthood. We're sons and daughters of the Most High God. We are loved. We are, Jesus took our place, right? And adopted us in the sonship. So God looks at us the same way he looks at Jesus. I'm his child. His heart just melts when he sees me. You know what I mean? Yet, how do we call each other? Like, how are we just labeling each other and identifying each other? We're so far away from it that it's like, wow. And I think there's a very deliberate disconnect between where we came from, right? Most people I talk to will say, yeah, man, back when we were in Africa, we were kings and queens and da 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 da. And that's true. But like, check this out, right? My dad gave me a picture one time, right? And I'll show you the picture. It's 5 generations in one picture. So it was my great grandpa, my great grandma, my great great grandma, my dad, who was like 6 years old in the picture, and then my great 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 grandfather, who was a slave, right? In Columbia, Tennessee, right? He's showing me the picture, and I'm like, wow. And he's telling me, he's like, yeah, your great 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 grandpa, that's him. His name's Pat. He was an actual slave, right? And I'm just like, yo, but you're like 6 years old in this picture. Just imagine what he told him. Imagine what he told him. So we think these disconnects are happening like so far back in history. My dad, who I just spoke to yesterday, can actually say that he's physically connected with an actual slave, right? And so my great great grandfather told my great great grandfather what the world was going to be like. And then my great great grandfather told my great grandfather what the world is going to be like. And then my great great grandfather told my great grandfather what the world was going to be like. And then my dad told me what the world was going to be like. There's only 4 speeches that you can even give. 4 opportunities from father to son to tell them like what the world's going to be like, right? And so it puts it in perspective, right? I say all that to say this. Don't think that you're that far removed from your actual history, because you ain't. It doesn't take long to go back that far generations. We talk about it like it's forever ago. So there's a real connection that we've had with one another. And it's never too far out of bounds to where we can reach back and grab onto that. Just takes enough people doing the right things. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, this is deep. Yeah, you did it. That's another 20.